Yeah, I think there's a major lack of confidence because I speak from personal experience, right? When I am going to engage in a difficult conversation at work, I rehearse that conversation. Sometimes I would literally practice it out loud to my husband, whom English is his first language. And I always preface it with, this is what I want to convey. These are my three goals and what I want to communicate.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Frustrated to Fluent. I'm your host, Devon Bruce. I'm the founder and CEO of the English Communication Academy. We help non-native English speakers in healthcare communicate effectively with our patients, colleagues, and staff. And today I'm speaking with Saleh Uwalaka. She is a passionate pharmacy educator, entrepreneur, and the founder of ResiPrep, a nationally recognized program that helps student pharmacists match successfully into residency. She's also the host of a new podcast called Success in Doses, which she shares actionable insights and inspiring stories at the intersection of healthcare, leadership, and resilience. She earned her Doctor of Pharmacy degree from the University of Maryland School of Pharmacy and currently serves as the Director of Clinical Pharmacy Programs at Correct RX, where she leads innovative care models for incarcerated populations across the state. She brings a unique blend of clinical expertise, mentorship, and real-world experience to everything she does. So, Saleh, thank you so much for coming on. I'm so excited
Absolutely.
to have you here.
I feel like I am more excited to be here. Point of correction, I am a graduate of the University of Maryland Eastern Shore School of
Uh,
Pharmacy.
yes,
Yes. So
I I can appreciate that. I went to
yeah.
Howard for undergrad,
Oh,
so
you did. So the
yeah.
HBCU situation, it's a real thing
Yes.
that is very important and near and dear to my heart. Thank you
Amen to that.
so much for the invite. Thank you for this opportunity. I'm so
Oh, thank you.
excited. Thank you for what you do. I can't believe
Oh, thank you.
that like more people don't know about you and your academy and all of the work that you are doing to help non-native English speakers show up more confidently and boldly and take up the space that they absolutely deserve to take. This is amazing.
Oh, thank you. Thank you
Of
so
course.
much. And I really appreciate that coming from you because we discussed prior that you're a non-native English speaker yourself
Yes.
and you are thriving. You
Thank
are
you.
thriving.
Thank
And so
you.
it's going to be so exciting for people to hear and see themselves in your story as a non-native English speaker and how you
Mhm.
overcame these obstacles and
Mhm.
how you're out here just doing you. And so I'm
Uh,
really excited to talk to you about this today.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's such a core part. I every time I'm like, English is not my first language, and people are like, "What?" I'm like, "Yes, I it's very important to me that we get that out of the way because I think we all it's a part of all of us, like if we are honest, like those of us whom English is not our first language, it vibrates really quietly in the back and everything that we're doing. And so I'm excited for us to talk a little bit about what that journey has been like for me and how I balance it.
Yes, I'm happy about that because what we're talking about today is fixed mindsets in
Yes.
healthcare.
Mm,
And I would say in the academy, that is one of the biggest pain points that we work with. So it has nothing to do with needing more grammar or taking a bunch
mhm.
of English classes because they're already fluent.
Yeah.
It's the stuff that's going on in here that
Yeah.
is preventing them from thriving in their careers. So
Yes.
I just want to get started. So can you briefly explain what a fixed mindset is and how it shows up for non-native English speakers in healthcare? I
Yeah.
wanted to start off with this because even though I know most people know what a fixed mindset is, they may not necessarily know how it may show up for them in healthcare.
Oh, absolutely. And I think this is where lived experiences are also there's space for it in this conversation because nobody just, I think, wakes up and decides like this is going to be my view on this topic. And there's no amount of reading, exposure, proximity that's going to change how I view what my views on set thing is, right? But fixed mindset, usually, and the way it surfaces, it's that it's a comfort thing. I always see it as this is the path of least resistance for that person. It is familiar, it is comfortable, it's a position that they can defend. And so asking them to consider the possibility that something else may be possible, maybe even plausible. Let's not even talk about possible, but that another explanation for what they are seeing, hearing, and experiencing right in front of them, that something else may be plausible for that other than what they believe in their mind is happening either to them or around them, could be very challenging. And culture and where we come from and what we've been led to believe about who we are and the significance that we have in certain spaces and the insecurities that we have, they all are working in concert and forcing us to just have this very rigid view of how we see ourselves, how we relate to other people, and then how we engage with our patients now with some of these preconceived notions that we have in our mind, and the conversation is almost complete before it even begins, and it's unfortunate.
Okay. And then many non-native English speakers in healthcare, they're incredibly intelligent. They're
Oh
brilliant,
my god.
yet they do struggle with confidence and
Yeah.
growth. And
Hmm.
like I said before, that this is something that we really work with. This is something that we really work on in the academy, is
Yeah.
trying to get them out of their own way, so
Yeah.
that way they can thrive in their careers.
Yeah.
So let me just ask you, as a non-native English speaker in healthcare, why do you think a fixed mindset is so common in this field?
Oh my gosh. I think that it always begins with a choice. In my situation, we immigrated to the US when I was only 13 years old. And the only thing I knew in the English language was how to count from 1 to 100. And I knew, like, what is your name and happy birthday. Like, that was it. Like, it wasn't like I had a full vocabulary, right? And I had to learn from the ground up. And so it really did start, even at that young age, with an interest in wanting to really immerse myself in learning. This is where, for me, in my situation, reading was transformative in that journey, because books have a way of opening your mind up to take you on trips that you probably will never take in your lifetime, but you are living certain stories in a way that could be really, really powerful. In healthcare, for non English speakers, I think that there is a lot of confidence because you're always worried about whether or not your accent makes you difficult to be understood. You're worried about whether or not the translation that you're having in your mind about what you want to say, will it come out exactly that way? You think about, oh, if I could only express my frustration in my native language, they would understand it a little bit better. So there's a lot of mental acrobatics that are taking place before the communication even happens. And so when you are rigid in your mindset in thinking that they just don't want to understand, or they just don't want to see it from my perspective, or you have one job, and that is to find a way, and this comes with practice, I'll admit it, organizing yourself, your thoughts, and never allowing emotions to rush you in the way you decide to deliver. Because whether this encounter is with a patient, or whether this encounter is with a supervisor or a coworker, it's imperative that you figure out what strategy works best for you when you want to communicate, and being incredibly flexible in the fact that people can give you feedback about what you just delivered and how you could have delivered that better. And then being a great listener, right? Being a great listener to what people are telling you about how you communicate and how they perceive you when you communicate can be very transformative with the things you invest in for yourself to teach you how to communicate better.
So according to you, are you saying that one of the reasons why that a fixed mindset is so common in the field is because there's a lack of confidence?
Yeah, I think there's a major lack of confidence because I speak from personal experience, right? When I am going to engage in a difficult conversation at work, I rehearse that conversation. Sometimes I would literally practice it out loud to my husband, whom English is his first language. And I always preface it with, this is what I want to convey. These are my three goals and what I want to communicate. Can you give me feedback on whether or not I am accomplishing that? And so I think that because of that paranoia that I travel with, in that what I am thinking may actually not come out exactly the way I want it to, either because I am extremely upset, I am hurt, I am emotional, or I feel like in this conversation, I need to be very stern. I need to be very clear because I have tried a lot of other ways of communicating and I'm not getting the result I want from somebody that I'm partnering or collaborating with. And at this point, I want my communication to be very linear and to the point. I practice that. But I am not going to really claim that I am the most confident communicator verbally. I'm a little bit more confident in written communication because of that privilege of I get to proofread it, right? Like I get to really go over it time and time again to really make sure that it is exactly what I wanted to say. But when you're speaking to people, you give, then they give back. You give, then they give back. And depending on the direction that that conversation takes, frustration, that's not what I mean, but that's not what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say is this, what I'm trying to say is that. And so I think that the lack of confidence and the hesitation that the reason why this conversation is not going the way I want it to go, it has nothing to do with whether or not I know how I feel or I know what I want to convey. It's all because I'm expressing myself in a language that is not native to me. And are they receiving me the way I want them to? Yeah.
Yeah, that's so hard. And I
Yeah.
always respect people who are in healthcare who are non-native speakers. And I mean, clearly that's what I do.
Yeah.
That's my passion in life
Yes.
in regards to helping the helpers in this way. But it just as a Arabic learner, and the things that I go through as I'm learning the language, and I'm not even fluent yet,
Yeah.
and I'm not using it in my career, just the thought of trying to speak Arabic in a professional setting
Yeah.
in a field where it's a matter of life or death sometimes,
Quite
that
literally.
is a lot of pressure.
Yes.
And you're right. There's a lot of things that go on in your mind before you even utter any words.
Yes.
And that actually is a good segue into my next question. And I wanted to ask you this question because what happened earlier this year. So in the academy in the beginning of the year, we had like this Thrive in 25, start your year off right. And
Yeah.
it was a group like 7-day boot camp type of thing. And one
Okay.
of the very first things that they had to do, like I think on day one, is that they had to take a test and figure out if they had a fixed mindset or a growth mindset. And
Oh.
they a lot of them had a fixed mindset, but they thought they had a growth mindset. So it was very eye
Oh.
opening for them to be like,
Yeah.
oh man, my mindset is not anywhere near I thought it was. And
Yeah.
so my question to you is, what are some early signs that someone is operating from a fixed mindset,
Yeah.
especially in healthcare settings?
Oh my gosh. When people who spend no time data collecting, but they already have a conclusion, you give yourself away to me already that your mind is made up and this is a fixed mindset. This is not a person that is entering this situation, this challenge, this rotation when I work with students with an open mind about the fact that possibilities are limitless. One of the things I enjoy the most about precepting students is when I have a student, I always ask them on day one, what are your goals for this rotation? I ask that question because it can be really, really telling. There's the student that has done all of their research about my practice site. They'll tell me that they want to do this, they want to do this, they want to do that. And I'll take that in mind. And then I'll put out suggestions. Well, along the lines of this, there's an opportunity for this, there's an opportunity of this. Immediately, you can see their body language shift. It becomes more like, oh, okay, we can see. All right, that would be interesting. And then I have the other students that come in and they're just like, this is such a unique place. And I only have 5 weeks. I just want an opportunity to get the most global experience and exposure to this rotation as possible. That's a person that is ready for the challenge. They're ready to be uncomfortable. They're ready to be in different spaces. They're ready to step out of their comfort zone in a very unique way. Their mindset and the way they're approaching an environment they've never been in, right? Like you are deciding to voluntarily go to prison every day as part of rotation, right? Like when you
Right.
have students, it's a very stressful environment. But I think to me, people who don't spend any time data collecting, but believe they already have the answer and they know exactly how this is going to unfold, that's a closed mindset approach to me. And then there are other people that really are more interested in data collecting. They have questions. They want to know. Like they come in and it's just like pour onto me, pour into me, pour into me, pour into me. They are constantly looking for what is the next thing that I can do to take my ability to do X, Y, and Z to the next level. That is a person that is a continuous and lifelong learner. And that's a person that motivates their teacher to also give more. But I tell students that all the time. Intellect is cool. I think it's really nice to be the smartest person in the room. I can't relate to that. I've never been that.
Okay.
But
Yeah. Yeah.
right? But I think what's really cool, what's really fascinating, and the people you see winning and winning and winning is not just that they are smart and intelligent, they
Mhm.
stay curious. They stay curious. They're constantly asking and looking for other ways to elevate their game further. And people who are in those positions to afford them that opportunity, it excites them because there's someone right here that like wants to learn and is so interested in how something works or why something falls apart. But that would be like the biggest and most fundamental difference between a set mindset individual and somebody with a growth mindset.
Okay. Now, if someone is listening and they're realizing that they have a fixed mindset and they want to try to do something about it, because, as you know, healthcare workers often exhausted,
Oh
overwhelmed,
gosh.
super busy. What habits or practices can someone do to start building a growth mindset without adding so much more to their plate?
I say recognize where you are first. It's going to sound super cliche, but admitting that you have a problem is an excellent first step because it then just in that moment of understanding that, hey, I tend to like draw conclusions before I have any type of information to make decisions, or I tend to come into situation wanting what I want out of them and nothing extra. Or whenever change is on the horizon in my environment, I completely shut down. These are all hallmarks of like set mindsets, right? Recognizing that this is where you are functioning and how you're trafficking is already an excellent first step. Because from there, you may not decide to take on the fact that you formulate opinions too quickly. You may not decide. Maybe the first step is just when people are talking to me about opportunities, I'm going to give them a chance and listen and hear what they have to say. Before I say no to opportunities, I'm going to make sure that I have data collected fully and kind of looked at where I am and what's on my plate and say, hey, I don't think I can do all of the opportunities you have, but there's this little piece that's only going to take me maybe this much effort and it's something new. I think I can help with this piece of it, but I can't do all of it. So I also try to teach students that it sometimes you don't have to say no to the entire project. You don't have to say no to the entire thing. There could be bits and pieces of the thing that you can do that still will be put you in a place of growth instead of shutting something down completely because it just seems so overwhelming and you think you're going to be so uncomfortable and it's going to be learning on top of learning on top of learning on top of learning and you're already burnt out and top 10 like I don't have much more to give. That is an emotional place that too many of us right now that are practicing can recognize and respect. But what I can tell you from my own personal experience, every transformative thing that has happened for me professionally, it happened because I was just a little bit curious, even without having all the detail. I decided, like, oh my gosh, like, I think I want to be part of this research project that's going to get published, but I'm very insecure about my scientific writing skills, right? And by saying yes to being a part of that project, I ended up finding myself with one of the most published pharmacists in the country teaching me how do you put a manuscript together. I would have missed out on that opportunity had I just said, "Oh, I'm not interested in research. I'm only interested in clinical practice projects." But I was looking to refine my scientific writing skills, but the idea would be overwhelming to me every time I thought about it. And so the challenge in front of you, if you want to transition from being fixed to a growth mindset, it's really just pace yourself. Everyone doesn't need to travel at the same pace, right? Like, pace yourself. You know what your life is like. You know what your life has room for. But don't turn everything down because it's uncomfortable, because in that uncomfortable space is where the most radical changes and growth, that's where that those things live. They don't live in the thing that you can do in 5 minutes. You're an autopilot doing that, you know?
Oh, I could not agree with you more on that. Magic happens in the discomfort, and
Yes.
the more uncomfortable you are, the more potential there is for magic.
Yes.
Um, now, having said that, just to wrap this up, if someone listening right now, they have a fixed mindset because they're afraid of failure or they don't want to be criticized,
Yeah.
what's one reframe or mindset shift that they can use to push through that fear today? Like
Oh my
what's
God.
one thing that they
One
could take
thing.
away from this?
So you're putting me in a space of giving a microdose today, right? Like, what is the one little thing? I want you today to reframe the way you see failure. You have done something in your life to give failure this clout it does not deserve, because we give failure a lot of power. It becomes heavy. We're afraid of the shame that comes with it. We're afraid of the external judgment. I want you today, for the micro dose, the little baby step you take forward is to critically evaluate your relationship with failure and the values you espouse failure. Because I'm telling you, the moment you start seeing it and stop calling it a failure and calling it a redirection, watch what happens. The moment it's no longer called failure, but it's called being a detour, watch what happens. The moment you no longer call it a failure, but you call it a step back for your leap forward, watch what happens. Your mindset is so powerful in the way you move, the relationships you have with your goals, the goals you set, right? Like, how delusional are you going to get with these goals? It all starts with how unafraid are you of the external judgment? How unafraid are you to fail and fail publicly, but then see that public failure as, I'm going to focus on the lessons that are right in front of me here because I'm going to recalibrate and come back and revisit this whole thing. The microdose is very simple. Critically reevaluate your relationship with failure and the clout that you've given it, and give it a different name, and it will change your career. It will literally actually change your life, because whether it's trying to lose weight or eat less meat or like whatever the goal is. It's like, dag, I only wanted to eat meat twice a week this week, and I did it 3 times a week. Let's look at what that extra day, what did you do different from the other days that you were successful? Study that, because that's where the secret to your success with consistency is going to be. That would be my microdose.
Ah, I love it. I love to hear it. Oh, what a great way to end.
Thank
So
you.
Saleh, where can people find you online?
Oh my gosh, what a question. I'm just kidding. Um, I am right now just really hoping that everybody can follow Success and Doses Pod. There's a YouTube channel, there's a Instagram page. So I am discoverable on LinkedIn as Saleh Traore-Uwalaka, but successanddoses.com. If you visit that website and send me a message, we can connect in an instant. And Devon, thank you so much for the work you're doing, because where were you when I was working on this thing?
That's such a thing to say. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
And all of those links are in the description box below. And if you are a non-native English speaker in healthcare and you really need help with your mindset, please join us in the Academy. It's for free. Anyone in healthcare can join us. We have a
Wow.
team of experts ready to stand by to help you. The link for that is in the description box below as well. So
Yeah.
that's it for today. Thank you, Saleh, for coming on. This was amazing. I
I
appreciate
appreciate
you
it.
not only talking to us about a mindset shift, but also talking about your personal story as a non-native English speaker. That alone is going to help so many people because they're going to see themselves in your story. So thank you so much for talking about it. I genuinely appreciate that.
My gosh, the pleasure really and truly was mine. Thank you so much. Hang in there, everybody.
All right, thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Take care.